All right. Good afternoon, everyone. So welcome to this webinar for the MSc program in Regenerative Medicine. My name is John Connolly. I'm one of the course directors, and here with me is my colleague, Professor Kristen Brown. So today, excuse me. So today we'll be going through a course overview, and Kristen will talk a little bit about Queen Mary in general. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started by sharing my screen. Great. So what we'll do today is I'll give it a program overview, and Kristen will talk about Queen Mary, and then at the end, we'll have some time for questions and answers. So as we're going along, feel free to put things in the chat and we'll come back to it at the end, or you'll have the option to raise your hand and ask questions live at the end. So first off, this is obviously the program for regenerative medicine, but in case you're not familiar with this term and exactly what it means, we typically refer to regenerative medicine as a field where we use cellular or biological components to regenerate damaged tissues or organs. And this is actually a very multidisciplinary field and pulls from lots of different areas of biomedical science. And so these might include topics such as stem cell biology, more engineering side of things, including biomaterial science and tissue engineering, and then ultimately collaboration with colleagues in clinical medicine to help translate some of these technologies into new therapies for patients. And so the program really focuses on each of these kind of underpinning aspects of regenerative medicine. And we do this through a combination of taught modules and a research project. So here at Queen Mary, we offer a full-time 1-year program or a part-time 2-year program. And reflecting the interdisciplinary nature of regenerative medicine, the program is delivered jointly between us here in the Faculty of Medicine and Dentistry, along with our colleagues in the School of Engineering and Materials Science. And the program consists of 8 taught modules, 4 in the first semester and 4 in the second semester. And I'll go through these in a minute. And then a final dissertation research project that takes place over the summer period. So in term 1, students take 4 modules, and all students take the same 4 modules. And these include topics along the lines of research skills and methodology, the molecular and cellular basis of regeneration, stem cell and developmental biology, and then advanced tissue engineering and regenerative medicine. So this first semester really covers kind of the core concepts in research and regenerative medicine. Then in semester 2, it becomes a little bit more in depth, and we look at some more advanced topics. And so here the students have a choice of 4 out of 5 modules. So the 5 that they can potentially choose from include medical ethics and regulatory affairs, biomaterials in regenerative medicine, which I teach, tissue-specific stem cells, induced pluripotent stem cells and genome engineering, and then finally neurodegenerative diseases. So then after completion of the taught modules, the students then carry out a full-time research project, and this is done over a 12-week period. And so the way that we assign projects are that we distribute the list of topics to the students in October. They have opportunity to look through the project descriptions and meet with supervisors to discuss the aims and objectives. And then they submit their top 5 project choices at the end of semester 1. And what we do is to try to match students with one of their top choices, and that's usually released early in term 2. And this typically works quite well. Students usually get one of their top couple choices, and then they've got a few weeks to do some background reading and get familiar with the subject area before they begin work in the labs sometime in mid-May. And then Finally, after completing their lab work, the students write up their research in a dissertation, and this is due in late August, and they also give an oral presentation describing the findings. And just some examples of research projects that students have carried out in the past. So these have been things such as the fundamental regulation of stem cell biology, the influence of aging, and as well as more kind of engineering and applied projects, for example, using 3D printing or bioreactors to generate engineered tissues. So just to cover a little bit of the teaching format. So we use a mixed mode form of education. So this is primarily online or on-campus activities. And so the in-person activities will include traditional lectures, interactive workshops, or presentations and discussions from the students themselves. We also supplement this with a number of asynchronous or online activities. And so this might include some background reading, watching videos, or taking quizzes. And this has helped to supplement and build on the in-person activities. We do also offer the opportunity to log into the in-person activities online if necessary. And this provides students with a little bit more flexibility in their learning. And then finally, our exams are delivered online. So these are typically open book exams. So students have whatever resources are available. And the aim is really to test understanding concepts and critical analysis skills. So I also wanted to cover a little bit of who is teaching on this course. And really one important thing to note is that most of the lecturers that you'll be working with are research active scientists. And so, for example, Professor Cleo Bishop, who leads the cell and molecular basis of regeneration, has been doing some work recently on image-based profiling of cellular aging. Likewise, Miguel Branco, who leads the stem cell and developmental biology module, is particularly interested in the epigenetic regulation of stem cells. And then finally, my own research is in the area of skin wound healing and regeneration, and we're building 3D models using bioprinting to do that. So then another important consideration is, what happens after the MSc? So where do our students go and what sort of careers do they take? So one of the most popular routes after the MSc is to continue on developing your research skills as a PhD student, and this could be within the UK or internationally. A number of students also get jobs as research assistants in academia or in industry. We've had students go on to further education in medical school or veterinary school. And then we've also had a number of students who take careers in science publishing and teaching. And it's also important to note we have an active alumni network through LinkedIn and further support from the Queen Mary Career and Enterprise Office to help students with their career progression. Okay, so just to kind of summarize some of the key points about the program. So the MSc in Regenerative Medicine here at Queen Mary is an interdisciplinary program that provides training in stem cell biology and tissue engineering. Our course is delivered by experienced educators and active research scientists. And the topics we cover reflect the interdisciplinary nature. And really, they're at the forefront of regenerative medicine research. And then lastly, students will have the opportunity to carry out research projects in state-of-the-art facilities and learn some cutting-edge techniques that will be applicable to further careers in research. So with that, I will hand it over to my colleague, Professor Kristen Brown, and she's going to talk a little bit more about Queen Mary and the research environment here.
Okay, thank you for that introduction, Professor Connolly. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about education more broadly at Queen Mary and within the Blizzard Institute, and some of the reasons that we think both the university and our institute are great places to train. So in addition to co-leading the MSc Regenerative Medicine program, I also am the director of education within the Blizzard Institute. So I look after all of our programs. So I'm going to show you some of that data and some of that information today. So just starting with the university first, some of you may be enrolled at Queen Mary already, in which case you don't have to listen, but some of you may be new to Queen Mary. We have a long history dating back to 1785. We have grown quite a lot in recent years, and we now have over 33,000 students, and we are one of the most international universities in the world, usually ranked in the top 20 in different surveys, and we have students from over 170 different nationalities on our programs. And our MSc Regenerative Medicine program, although it's quite a small program, is very reflective of this. We've attracted students from all over, all across the world in the 9 years that we've been running so far. 41% of our students come from overseas. And this is a large university, so it's divided into 3 faculties, and we are based in the Faculty of Medicine and Dentistry. And really importantly, we are a Russell Group university. So those of you who aren't familiar with UK education may not know, but the Russell Group of universities is a group of research-intensive universities. It's quite a prestigious group to be included within. So by coming to study at Queen Mary, you will be at one of the leading research universities in the UK. And something that we're particularly proud of is that we are recognized as the most inclusive Russell Group university. And this was in the Times and Sunday Times Good University Guide 2021. And I think this really reflects our ethos as a university, that we welcome students from across the world, and regardless of their background. And we just want talented students who we can develop and give greater opportunities to study and to progress in their life. Okay, so I said we have 3 faculties within the university. We are based in the Faculty of Medicine and Dentistry. Again, the Faculty of Medicine and Dentistry has a very long history. It was formed from the merger of St. Bartholomew's Hospital and Medical College and London Hospital Medical College. So in 1995, they merged with Queen Mary University of London. But to show you how far in history we go, St. Bartholomew's Hospital Medical College is celebrating its 900th anniversary this year. And the London Hospital Medical College was established in the 1700s. So we have a long history of contributing to medical education, and a lot of very famous graduates, such as Parkinson, who discovered Parkinson's disease. So it's great to be part of such a historic institution stretching so far back. We're very proud of the accolades that we've received. So in 2022, we were named a top 10 medical school in the UK. I already mentioned our strengths in social mobility. So we were first in one particular index on HEPI in 2022. And in terms of medicine, we were second in the world for research citations in the QS World Rankings of 2021. So you can see that we have real strong evidence of strengths in education and in research. So this is just a few examples of some of the outstanding research that's occurring within Queen Mary. Obviously, you'd be coming here to study regenerative medicine, but I think it's important that you're within a faculty where there's strengths in a number of different fields, especially because regenerative medicine draws from colleagues in different fields. So we have had some really nice publications related to monkeypox, Down syndrome, COVID-19 disease. We did some pioneering research. We have strengths in studies around diabetes. And this last one's Professor Denise Shear, who teaches on our neuroscience program and is based in the Blizzard Institute, and she's working on childhood brain tumors. So we have a lot of different strengths, different colleagues who we can draw on if we need advice. And if we look at the rankings of the university in the most recent ref, Queen Mary was ranked joint 7th in the UK for the quality of its research. And 92% of the research was considered to be internationally excellent or world leading. So by coming to our university, you'll be joining a large institution that has a lot of experience and expertise, both within education and in world leading research. So narrowing things down further, I started at the university, then I went to the faculty. This program is based within the Blizzard Institute. And as Professor Connolly said, we deliver collaboratively with the School of Engineering and Materials Science. The Blizzard Institute, as you can see here, is a very beautiful institute, which was established in 2005 and has won lots of awards. And the labs you can kind of see in the corner down here, we have labs that allow you to undertake and labs are here too, really top quality research. The Blizzard also does quite a lot of educational delivery. And I think the importance of this for you coming here is that we know what we're doing. We run about 17 top programs, and between them we have around 700 students, but we also do a lot of teaching on the MBBS program. So our staff have a lot of experience in teaching. And although you'll be joining one of our smaller programs, the MSc Regenerative Medicine, we have the infrastructure available to give students really good support. And I'll show you some evidence of that in the next few slides, because we are actually very experienced in the educational side of things. Okay, so why do I think you should study at the Blizzard? First of all, we think we offer outstanding teaching and learning. Our staff, our faculty who teach on this program really care about helping to educate you within fields that they're passionate about. And we also are invested in developing our students' skills and developing their own particular interests. We offer excellent research opportunities, and we have a strong commitment to student support. So I'm going to talk about through each of these things, teaching and learning, research opportunities, and commitment to student support in the next few slides. Okay, so of course I'm going to tell you this. I lead education in the Blizzard Institute, but we have plenty of evidence to back up what I'm saying. So one of the ways that we are quality assured for our teaching is in something called the Postgraduate Taught Experience Survey, and this is a national survey within the UK. And the most recent results that received in 21-22, if you look at the bottom here, within the Blizzard Institute, the overall experience of the students was 86%. And that was better than the rest of Queen Mary, the entire Russell Group, and the entire sector in teaching. So we are teaching and achieving a standard that's well above what our competitors have been achieving. We also have a lot of strengths if you look at the different categories in teaching and learning, engagement of students, in the students' final dissertations, and organization and management, and in the support that we offer our students in skills development. So that's great. It shows that as an institute, we have structures and processes that are really working well to give our students good education. But of course, you're here to study regenerative medicine. So if I pick out some of these categories from the same survey, focused on regenerative medicine, teaching and learning, you can see their students are very happy with how our staff has explained things, our staff's enthusiasm. They find the course intellectually stimulating. If we look in the dissertation major project, which of course is one of the main reasons that our students want to study a master's, the students have been very happy with the support they've gotten for their major dissertation. They feel that their supervisor has the skills and subject knowledge to adequately support the dissertation. So this is coming back to the point that Professor Connolly made. We have experts in their field who are supporting dissertations, and these are full-time researchers who take our students into their lab and give them this great opportunity. And the supervisors provide excellent feedback. Organization, again, we received 100% satisfaction from the students last year. And student support, we were in the 80%. And again, this is well ahead of the rest of the sector in terms of quality student support. So this is support for academic skills and things like IT, accessing resources, but also pastoral support. So how well we look after our students. And overall, the students, 100% of the students who completed the survey last year were satisfied with the quality of the course. Another way that we quality assure our programs is we have external examiners, and they file a report at the end of the year. They look at all the exams, they come to the exam boards, and they make sure everything's being done right. And our external examiner last year commented, it's a strongly research-led postgraduate program with authentic assessments. It's one that's built a strong reputation for the quality of the graduates it produces. Students follow a coherent set of modules, have opportunities to follow their own research interests, and are very well supported academically. And this is something that we're really proud of. We take a lot of pride in the quality of our program, the graduates that we produce, following them in their future careers. And it's nice to see this recognized by somebody from another university in the UK who is evaluating our program. So I mentioned before that one of the strengths is that students have excellent research opportunities. This is in part because they have access to outstanding equipment. And I just want to give you a couple of examples of that, and not only equipment, but also support. So Queen Mary acquired the first cell dive multiplexed imagers for a university outside of North America. So some of our students have the opportunity to undertake projects using this very advanced type of microscopy, which is joined up with AI analytics. And we also have a genome center in the Blizzard Institute. So this is a certified institute that supports our students who are undertaking projects that involve genomics. So you don't have to do everything yourself. There's a team of experts to help you with your research project. Because of this, these are the excellent facilities and support that our students have. They produce very high quality data. So these are just some images and some data that our students have produced in recent dissertations. This puts our students in a really good position when they want to go on to interview for things like PhD positions. And occasionally, students even get the opportunity to contribute to publications. This was particularly nice a few years ago with a student named Ed Lau, and he managed to publish a first author publication based on his dissertation work. This is unusual to get a first author publication, but we have quite a few students who've have been able to produce data that has been included in publications, sometimes a few years after they leave. And this is, obviously a great bonus if that students have the opportunity to become involved in publication. There's no guarantees with this. Everything kind of has to go well with the project, but sometimes this happens and it's great. So the last thing I want to talk about is student support. So myself, in my role as Director of Education in the Blizzard, it's really important to me that our students are well supported. And we make sure that every one of those 700 students, over 700 students that we have enrolled in the Blizzard Institute have a personal advisor, an academic advisor. And if you come on our program next year, which we hope you do, you'll be assigned an advisor. They will only look after maybe 3 to 5 students on our program, so they get to know you really well. And they provide academic support. So if you're struggling a little bit with your studies, they can give you extra support and guidance, maybe give you point you to extra resources that can help you. They're also responsible for pastoral support. So students who are with us for a year, sometimes things go wrong in their personal life or they have external pressures and they don't know what to do, and they can come and talk to their advisor. And if the advisor can't help directly, they can at least signpost the students to our student well-being hub and all of our resources that we have within this large university to support students. So that includes a dyslexia and disability service, an advice and counseling service, and a myriad of other support opportunities. So it all starts with the academic advisor, and then they're able to help the student to signpost those students to additional support. And then finally, we take a holistic interest in our students and their overall development, ensuring that they develop personally, that they develop their confidence in the written and oral presentations, so that when they finish with us, they're in a good position to either go on to further studies or to interview for jobs that they want. And in fact, something that we just did yesterday was we offer 2 careers workshops in the summer, where we bring in people who are working in different fields to come and talk to our students. And really pleasingly now, we're quite often bringing back alumni who've progressed to work in different fields. We just had a couple of them speak to our current students yesterday. So that's really nice to see the ones who've been with us before, who are doing well, come back and speak to our current students. And I think that that's really helpful. So thank you for listening to what we have to tell you about the program. But I think the most important thing is that we now give you the time to ask us any questions or any concerns that are on your mind. So I'm just going to stop sharing and invite you to, you can feel free to put questions in the chat, or if you feel brave, you can just pop your camera on and feel free to ask us anything that you'd like to know.
Hello.
Hello.
Can I have a question? Okay. Yeah. So I did my bachelor degree at Queen Mary, and in my final year, I took the stem cell and regenerative medicine module. So I want to ask that will this affect my core modules in the master degree?
Hi, Kian. Yeah, I remember you from that module. So I teach that module, so as you know, so I'm probably the best person to answer that. No, it won't affect anything for the masters. So Dr. Groot and I, we first were teaching in the masters, and then we thought it would be nice to have a 3rd-year module introducing the concepts of stem cell and developmental biology. We did borrow a little bit of content from the masters, but if you imagine, we have 8 modules that are 30 hours each of contact time in the masters, so it's 240 hours. And the module you took was 30 hours in total. So you kind of got a taste of the different things that we'll talk about on the masters, but it'll be much deeper. So for example, I gave you a lecture on cancer stem cells. on the masters, we have people who are actually working in the field of cancer stem cells. 2 or 3 of them come and give multiple lectures. So you get that additional depth of information that we don't deliver at undergraduate level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you.
There might be a few things that look familiar, but there's definitely a much greater depth at master's level.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Good question.
Looks like there's a question in the chat from Farid about funding and scholarships to apply for after the admissions offer. So there aren't any direct programs that you can apply to through Queen Mary. There is a consideration for, or an automatic consideration for students coming in with a certain level of degree, but that's done automatically. But there are lots of scholarship and funding opportunities outside of Queen Mary. And so some of those are signposted on the Queen Mary website if you search for funding and scholarship opportunities. And so those things include things, if you're an international student, such as the Chevening scholarship. So there are a number of different opportunities, but you do need to hunt around for them a little bit. Yeah, so Professor Brown has just put up the link to that database. So I'd encourage you to take a look at that and see which ones might apply specifically to you. Great. Any other questions?
One of the questions we get a lot, I see there's at least one student on here who's a medical student. Professor Conley, would you mind talking a little bit about how we deal with students coming from different backgrounds and what different backgrounds we've had on the program?
Yeah, of course. That's a really good question and definitely something that we get a lot. So because the course is an interdisciplinary program, we cover topics in basic biology and engineering and some more clinical applications. No one is going to have, the perfect background coming into the course. There will always be areas that are new or different or unfamiliar. But we do work quite hard to make sure that students are given all the resources that they need to get up to speed in areas where they might not have had as much exposure, whether that's background reading or lectures. And we also make sure to include all of the essential content within our lectures and reading materials, so that students have the resources they need for exams and other coursework. And we also think that's quite an advantage of having people from different backgrounds. So you can learn from your peers. So if you're coming from a clinical background, you can provide that knowledge and understanding that others might not have. And likewise, a student coming from an engineering background might have a better understanding of mechanics or quantitative analysis that they can help out their peers. And so there's really a great opportunity to learn from each other as well.
To that point, can I have another question?
Of course.
Yeah, so as you said that so I really want to increase my background knowledge in some of the areas that are not my strength. So for example, neuroscience or engineering, like you say. So is it possible that we have access to some kind of reading list before the start of the master, so that we can be familiar with
we typically don't provide any required reading lists or prior to the course, because it is so varied in such a broad field. So, but what we do provide is kind of, as we're going along, signposting and resources to further background reading on a particular topic. And if there are specific areas that you feel like you would like some greater background on, I think the best approach there is to contact the module leads for those areas, whether it's neuroscience or engineering. Along that line, we do also offer a couple one-off training lectures and workshops on engineering mechanics, primarily because that's an area that most students don't have much of a background in, but it's also quite important for some concepts in tissue engineering and some of the coursework that is done around that. So we do offer some, specialized workshops in the engineering mechanics side. So there will be an opportunity for training in that.
I see. That's exciting. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Great.
Yeah, Ken, we get that question a lot. And I think we used this on a reading list, but I actually think it's the best to just come refreshed at the beginning of the year. I know you've been studying hard all year. Take this July and August and relax and enjoy yourself. And we provide lots of support for students, when they get here. And so often the stuff they read kind of goes in one ear and out the other anyway. So I think you're better off kind of just marrying it up with the lectures. There's no need to worry in advance about that.
Yes. Yeah, I kind of also want to take a break during my summer holiday as well. So
Yeah,
it's good to know. Yeah. Thank you.
I think a break's important, especially those of you who are coming straight out of third year of undergraduate, which is, full on.
Yeah.
Need to celebrate as well, of course.
I actually graduated just yesterday.
Oh, yes, fantastic. Was I there? I was there to Monday.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions, concerns? Got just a small group here today, so feel free to just put your camera on and have a chat with us. I don't think we've mentioned the size of the program, have we? Did you mention that at all in your introduction?
No, but if you want to touch on it briefly, it'd probably be helpful.
Yeah, so we are a fairly small master's. We expect probably we'll have in the range of 20 students, give or take, for the next academic year. I think our most has been 27, and this year we've got 19 to give you a sense. But our students do sit some modules with other colleagues. So Kian, this kind of comes to your point. So we have a number of modules that are shared with the students in the MSc Neuroscience, in particular our neurodegeneration module and our research skills module, but they also take some of our stem cells based modules. So there's a good chance to get to know some of those students. And at times we do group projects where students present papers and stuff. So even working with those students, there are parts of the course where you can really tailor it to your interests. So we ask you to write a literature review on anything that's on the module, but if you're particularly interested in neuroscience aspect, you can bring that side of things in. So the nice thing is the course is small, we get to know you very well, but also you will get exposed to a larger number of students. And on the engineering modules, you also will be sharing with some of the engineering students. One of the modules is quite large and one is kind of under 40 or 50 students. So it's a good chance to kind of have the smaller program, but also get exposure to the larger university and other colleagues. All right, any
Yeah, it looks like there are maybe no more questions. Should we call the meeting to a close?
Yeah, I think so. I think the only thing is I know people can be quite shy on these webinars. So if there's anything you'd like to know, feel free to email either Professor Connolly or myself, or on our webpage is just the general shared email address. And we were happy to arrange an individual chat with you via Zoom or something. It's no problem at all. We're happy to do that. And sometimes people have quite individual questions that they don't want to ask in a group format, which is understandable. Otherwise, have a great summer, and we'll hope to see you in September.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.